Have a quorum.
Yes, sir, we do, Greg.
Okay. Okay, and folks that are
So Bree, I'll turn that over to Bree.
Okay, so I have Mary Betzel and Richard Hamilton have are going to be recording the meeting. And then I also have Richard Hamilton, Barbara Mistars, Barbara Brody, Mary Betzel, Paula Banis, and David Eckert that have already pre-signed up for agenda items.
we have to sign up right now.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we are.
For the next 5 minutes. Let's take that.
So Bree, can you?
Yep.
Can you
So it will be, please raise your hand and type in the box, what agenda item you'd like to speak on. And then you have 5 minutes. So at 10:07, we will be closing.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, just a few opening comments. First we have a 11:45 hard stop today. There's a lot of county meetings kind of going on that I have to be there for. So we do have a hard stop at 11:45 today. I asked the board members to not to speak until you're acknowledged to speak. Also to keep your comments concise, so we can kind of move this thing along. So I think based on the agenda, I don't see any issue in getting through about 11:45. If there's any agenda item that's not covered by the time we get the hard stop, we'll be moved to the next agenda. Okay, all right. Travis, you have any comments?
Thanks, Greg. Really, the only comment I have, just as an update with the board, we are really moving forward on the Audubon recertification. Working with the social committee, we're looking to schedule a little brief ceremony on November 1st. That ties into their social event that they're planning, and the Audubon representative will come down and we'll give her a tour and all that normal stuff that we've done the last 2 times that they've come down. But looking forward to getting that certification wrapped up and checking that box. So a lot of hard work by a lot of people and getting that done.
Well, thanks, Travis. With that, we'll move to our first agenda item, which is Shoreline Committee report. First item on that is the Florida County Board of County Commissioners, Hammock Dunes Associate Maintenance Agreement, and then also be followed by the amendment to the perpetual easement agreement as well, which are both kind of tied together. We've been talked about this quite a bit. We reported on this at our last meeting, I think meeting before, about this agreement that was coming. The agreement for the perpetual maintenance agreement, what it does is the county takes full responsibility for the beach. And that's not just named storm. We take full responsibility for maintenance for the beach. Our goal here is to get to FEMA Category G eligibility and other eligibilities. And as we've talked before, in getting to those eligibilities on named storms, that the example I gave is that the current project that we're doing under an FDEP grant, Florida Department of Environmental Protection grant, is a 50% match by the state. It's an $8.8 million project. So that's a 4.4 local match, of which we're splitting half of that with the county. And the county, by the way, is doing that for the other HOAs as well, up and down the beach, Ocean Hammock, Hammock Beach, etc. So we're not by ourselves. If the county was eligible, had the county been eligible for a FEMA Category G grant, which they did apply for, by the way, if they're eligible for that, FEMA matches that grant, but FEMA has pays 75% of the grant. It's a 25% match, of which the state picks up 12.5% of that, leaving 12.5% local match, meaning that project under FEMA Category G, the total local match would have been under $1 million. Also, that when you're doing something under Category G grant, even though it's based on named storm, it's not an emergency sanitary. It restores it being back to its pre-engineered condition before the storm. So an example of that again is that if we take a look at Ian and Nicole that went through, we lost between 16 to 18 cubic yards of sand per linear foot during Ian and Nicole. We had an emergency sand placement done by the county at 6 cubic yards per linear foot, of which was the first time that Hammock Dunes has not paid for anything for sand placement. but that still left us with a net loss of roughly about 10 cubic yards per linear foot. So in the coal, under a category G grant, they would have restored it back to the full, the full 16 cubic yards of the loss, if that was being the pre-engineered condition on it. So, this is important, and it also is we explained that to the county and we use that as an example. We kind of got it, so it's that. The reason this agreement, as I see it, is kind of a stopgap measure. The reason for this stopgap measure is that the county spent a lot of time trying to get a barrier island-wide MSBU and MSTU. They were not successful on a sales tax. They were not successful in getting a sales tax, and they were not successful in getting a barrier island MSBU or MSTU. Didn't have the time. They also did approve what we call the unincorporated areas. We call the Northern 10 MSBU and MSTU last year. The county missed the implementation dates on that. So because the dates were missed, what that meant for Hammock Dunes, as well as the other HOAs, that we were naked in terms of federal grant opportunities, which meant that we've been exposed to full costs during the storm, or if there's an FDEP grant, that would be at a 50% match. And as I told the county, I said, we don't have another $2.2 million to put in this thing on that. So this was an agreement that was worked out as a perpetual maintenance agreement where the county assumes full responsibilities. In order for the county to do that, they do need to create a funding stream. They need a funding stream also for the grant, so for the grant from the FEMA perspective. So we would be paying the county, if approved by the board, $570,000 a year. It's perpetual because you can't do a temporary as far as FEMA is concerned. So it has to be something that's incorporated in the process, and as it states within the grant agreement that when the county has in place its own local funding initiative, then this grant itself would sunset. When we look at what the numbers that they're looking at for overall for MSTU and MSBU combined, which would meet the requirements they really have, this is actually from an owner perspective. I'm speaking of myself as owner. Is less cost than what it would be through the MSBU and the MST, because need both those documents combined to get full protection on it. So there is a clause in there. I think everybody's read the agreement. There's a clause in there that if the county fails to perform on that, or if they divert the funds, something else, then we have the authority to take them to court and claw it like that. The importance on that clause is that government or counties themselves have immunity, except when you're in a contract. So they waive the right to immunity for suit when you're in a contract. So that's what that clause is for. They did ask them to for a period to correct themselves, which is fine. That's pretty standard itself. So that is the agreement. Now I want to talk a little bit before, I know we got two agreements, but because they're related, I want to talk a little bit about the perpetual modification to the perpetual easement agreement. So what the modification to the perpetual easement agreement does is that it modifies the perpetual easement agreement with the county taking full responsibility for maintenance of our beach, full responsibility. And again, if the question comes up, what does that mean? Does that mean named storms and unnamed storms? Yeah, that's right. It's full maintenance responsibility. That is a FEMA requirement. Again, it has to be part of their business practices on that. So it's conditioned in there, as you'll see within the perpetual easement agreement, upon us joining and taking the perpetual maintenance agreement. There is a vote scheduled this evening at 5 o'clock by the BOCC on this agreement. I believe that the votes are there for approval, but that's only conditioned upon if we approve it as a board. So obviously, if we don't approve it as a board, then we'll notify the county it's not approved by the board, and then deal's kind of off or whatever. So Eric, you had a question?
Yeah, are other HOAs also about to approve, or are we the only ones?
Yeah, other HOAs are in process. I mean, we've been communicating with Ocean Hammock, Hammock Beach, and what's next one? Sea Colony. Yeah, so they have offered, if you know it's a good deal for them. I do know kind of offline through, not off, I do know through Hammock Beach and also through Ocean Hammock, the county's already contacted them, telling them that they'd like to make modifications. So once again, Hammock Dunes is kind of in a leadership role on this effort. We are the guinea pig to get everything kind of done and get it right. It's a team effort. Our consultants we have on board perform admirable. Having Fred Vanderschmidt on board on an hourly basis as a former FEMA executive, he's been very helpful in the process as well, and making sure we get language that's FEMA. It's perpetual maintenance, this perpetual modification, perpetual maintenance agreement has been reviewed by FEMA. They have, how can I say it? They never say yes, but they said that it appears as though that this meets the requirements of it. That's the best you're gonna get until you get an application. Yeah.
I just wanted to emphasize or find out exactly the cost of the perpetual maintenance, which is $567.
Yeah.
Is that approximately the same or exactly the same as what we are presently reserving for beach maintenance?
It's less. It's less. Yeah.
So
We're putting in roughly 670.
okay, so I think it'd be important for our owners on lots to understand that this is actually less than what we can put in.
Yeah, there's no increase in the owners. I mean, basically we're going, there's no increase. We're already reserving the funds, and we'd be taking those funds and applying it to support them. Ron, you have a question?
I do. How did we come up with the 570K number?
We didn't come up with the 570K number. The county did this calculation estimate based on requirement, and that's what the county came up with. And that number that you're using is proportionate, if you will, to what they're offering to the other HOAs as well.
Okay.
So,
Can I ask a follow-up real quick? So when we look at the definition of this is a dunes maintenance program on the title of the easement, but we use beach in there interchangeably. So is it the belief that dunes renourishment and beach renourishment are being used synonymously here interchangeably?
Yeah, dunes refers to the dune itself. Beach, when we say beach, because when you do a dunes renourishment, you're also doing renourishment on the dry beach, if you will. So
Yeah.
you have dune, you have the dry beach. So that's why we go there.
Yeah, and a question on and this is maybe more for the legal folks on there, but in terms of termination, what right do we have? I don't see any termination clauses in the agreement that you would typically expect to see in here. So what rights do we have for termination other than just going to court? Is that the understanding that you all have as well?
Go. You want me to answer that, Robin?
Well, I think you addressed it. I think the FEMA requires the perpetual nature of the agreement, the agreement to be a perpetual nature in order to qualify in order for the county to qualify for FEMA funding. So that's the reason. But yes, that's
right.
If there's a
But what recourse do we have to? We're apparently going to take a vote on this today to implement it and put this in place in perpetuity. So we're using our vote to put it in place, but we have no voice other than to go to court, it sounds like, to terminate.
You're talking two things. One is that the court part is if they don't perform, or we terminate by not paying. Okay, I mean, that's one of the conditions that's in place. Now we expect, what we expect is again, where, the county approved last year MSBU and MSTU. They're actually doing a cost benefit analysis now to implement that. This is a Band-Aid measure, okay? So it's in the county's best interest, and it's our best interest when we get their local funding piece in place. And that's the direction. Well, this is not, it's perpetual because, that's what it takes to make sure we satisfy grant requirements. But our expectation is the county will get its local funding things in place for the normal 10, which have already been approved. They were approved last year. What we don't know is we don't know what the final numbers of that's going to be.
So in this case, we're making this perpetual agreement. So I would contend that it's no longer a reserve item, it's an operating expense. Correct? Because it's now in perpetuity, another $570,000, whatever, 567, that is part of the budget.
As a reserve item, I
Yeah.
mean, you still have to set aside funds for it in order to be the
But-
funds.
But by definition, it's no longer a reserve. It's a known expenditure, so it's an operating expense.
It ends up in the same place, Ron, whether you're budgeting for an operating expense or you're budgeting to fund your reserves.
Look, the difference here gets back to our declaration and the documents. I'm just trying to be a good steward for the whole community here, guys. I'm not trying to do anything nefarious, but if we change by 15% the operating expense or the cost, which now this is becoming an operating expense, there's a level of transparency that we owe to the community beyond just the meeting in a board environment. So I contend that moving it to an operating expense does that, because that's correctly what we are doing. We are making this an annual operating expense.
By law, you're allowed to have it as a reserve item.
I'm sorry.
By law, you're allowed to have it as a reserve item.
For a known annual cost, a recurring cost.
Ron, I think when we build it into the 26 budget, it'll go in. It probably as a known expense, and then we'll just reduce the amount that we're putting into the reserve for sand. So from the owner's standpoint, it won't impact what they're paying on a monthly basis.
I agree. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the path. I think that's the right path, is to make it an operating expense. But per the declaration, if I read it correctly, any change 15% or greater, there's a level of notification that has to go to the community and a discussion about that. So this would be a 15% change, greater than a 15% change to what we're putting into from their perspective. Even though it's still coming out, it's greater than a 15% change. I'm just getting back to the transparency. Look, at the face of this seems like a really good deal from an ROI perspective. But I just want to make sure that if we're going to commit to something that's tens of millions of dollars, because this is in perpetuity, that we have the right exposure to the broader community.
I think you're blowing it up, Ron, because this is a temporary stopgap to get FEMA funding instead of paying it all out of pocket. So it's not tens of millions of dollars, because the county at some point will put a beach management program through in some design. So I don't look at this as a multi-year deal, but you have to put it in that way in order to qualify for FEMA.
But what the county says in their language is the whereas document after the 570 is that they would only decrease this once they had a satisfactory path for MSBUs and or MSTUs as part of that. So when I read that, I read that as, unless there's an exemption that's called out, which there isn't, we as the community and homeowners will get this tax that we're paying $570 a year for, each of us, $480 each, and we could be subject to MSBUs and or MSTUs concurrently.
No, I agree with that.
No,
How do you not agree with that? I mean, where does it say that we're exempt from that?
I mean, it's one or the other, right?
No, it doesn't say that. I respectfully disagree.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Okay, well then, when it comes time, then maybe we make the motion to add language that exempts us from having to do that. But right now, we would be responsible as taxpayers across the county, just like everybody else, on MSBUs or MSTUs as they assign. We wouldn't be exempt. We would be paying twice.
It's not good, Jamie, I'm sorry.
That's not what the agreement says.
It does not say that.
Yeah. All
It
right.
says that until the county can come up with the if you look at the agreement there, whereas until they come up with the MSBUs and MSTUs to help decrease the amount that we're paying, not get rid of it. We could be, I think that the language needs to be modified to exempt us from that at a minimum.
Yeah, I think that, I don't think you get there. I really don't think you get there. And I think that what you end up with is that, again, is that, the language itself, first of all, there is an MSTU, which has been approved by the county. The MSBU, because the county missed its deadlines, has been zero funded for this year, okay? So it's part of the budget cycle for 2020, for 2027. That's when they'll implement the funding on that. There's a study that's kind of going on right now on it. So in terms of, I think that in terms of process, that first of all, there's no motion that's been made. Okay. You can make a motion, and then the board will decide whether or not what they want to do on that motion. It's just,
Okay.
that's straightforward about it. Okay.
Yeah, can I ask one more question then on liability
Sure.
for the easement?
Sure.
If we're giving them this access perpetually and someone gets hurt, they hurt someone, but it's on our property, on our dune, on our beach, I don't see any limitations of liability indemnification. Typically, there's some type of a hold harmless indemnification clause or something that's added to that.
You're talking about the amendment?
The amendment to the easement, that's right. So there's nothing that says if someone gets hurt while they're working on our section of this, who's liable? I'm just
Yeah.
looking for some kind of indemnification so
Yeah.
we don't end up getting sued.
First of all, it's an amendment adding them this responsibility. It doesn't replace the existing easement that we have in place. So all the terms and conditions within the existing easement will flow with this agreement, with the exception of the change in the amendment, which is making the county responsible for full beach maintenance. That's what the amendment does. It doesn't remove the existing terms and conditions on the existing easement that was approved by the board.
So you're comfortable, I guess you're in, and maybe for Robin, you're comfortable that legally by doing this, we're covered from a liability perspective if someone was to get hurt?
Robin, I think, Ron, it's this is that was reviewed legally and that was reviewed and was approved by the board in 2023. So the only change that's being made in the amendment, it's not an easement, it's an amendment to the existing easement, is the county is changing where the county was not taking responsibility for beach, where it is taking full responsibility for the beach. That's the only change that's going on. So the other terms and conditions kind of stand.
I understand. I'm just saying that we're giving them now access to do that. And it sounds like that you don't believe that we have any liability issues.
I disagree with you, Ron. We already gave them access to that under our easement. We're not giving them any new rights. The only thing we're giving them is they're taking responsibility for it. They already had access. We had access in our existing.
Okay, let me ask it differently then. Under the existing easement, do you feel comfortable that we don't have any liability issues? You don't feel like we're exposed?
I don't think we should talk about liability at an open board meeting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a legal approved by a prior board, by the board. So, I mean, that's,
Okay.
that's what it is.
I'm just curious about one little thing. Ron mentioned that all of this in the context of on our beach. My understanding is that it's a public beach.
The county in October of 2018, okay, about through customary use, declared all beaches, wet beach as being public. That was done in October of 2018 through customary use. Without customary use, we would not be eligible for any kind of funding whatsoever. That's any kind of state or federal funding. So that was done in 2018. So the only thing that we're doing is, it is a county beach, we're doing is, that's what an amendment is giving access to work on our dunes, which we have done over the past several years, few decades, so. So any project we've done, the county has done, that's worked on our beach, even prior to our perpetual easement, is the county did that work on the beach.
Can we make a motion?
Yeah, if you make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendment as it stands.
Okay, all right, so you want to take the amendment first. So if there's a motion to approve the amendment as stands, as written, is there a second to that motion? Second by Jenny, excuse me, by Jenny. Okay.
Right, this is the first amendment to the perpetual easement.
Yeah,
It's number two on the list.
Number two on the list, okay. So this motion's been seconded, any discussion? Okay, having none, we'll go to,
Attendees, I have Barbara Mistars. Barbara, you can,
Yes, ma'am. Do you hear me?
yeah, you're good.
I just wondered if anybody can clarify if there's a hold harmless and indemnification in the perpetual easement. I'm just wondering if it's there.
I don't know off the top of my head, but most of the time counties will not agree to that.
hmm,
And again, I really don't want to talk about liability issues at an open board meeting.
okay. This is not a discussion, this is the opportunity for members to make their comments to the board.
And I understand that, but I am just trying to clarify whether the neighborhood has adequate protection. And I think that's a real important issue, that whether you're in this meeting or the other, we as members ought to know if we're protected, because we're the ones that are going to pay for that.
All right.
Barbara, do you have any additional comments?
No, not on this.
Okay, all right.
No. Barbara Brody? Barbara, you can unmute. Barbara, all right.
Barbara, you unmute? Let's move on down to the next one. We'll
All
come
right.
back to her.
But Mary Betzel?
Mary Betzel, you have 3 minutes.
No, I indicated to Bree that I would raise my hand if I had a comment to make.
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry, Mary.
Okay, anybody else?
Let's see. Paula Banis,
Okay. Paula, you have 3 minutes?
1 second.
1 second. They're fine, you first, there we go.
There she is.
Is she gonna raise your hand too or not?
No,
Okay,
She's headed right
Paula,
there.
you have 3 minutes?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
you're fine.
Bree, I will follow Mary's lead and I'll raise my hand if I want to comment.
perfect.
Okay,
All right.
Okay, thank you.
who else do we have?
Oh, Richard Hamilton, he has his.
Okay, Richard Hamilton, you have 3 minutes? Okay, thanks for comments. Who we have next?
That's it.
That's it. Anybody else? That's it. All right. So comments, we have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion points? Okay. Having none, call the vote. Let's do a roll call vote on it. I think because this is a runs of the land.
Could you restate the motion, please?
Sure. A motion by Eric Lucker, seconded by Jenny Crum Jones. The motion is to approve the First Amendment to perpetual easement as presented in the package, as proposed.
Okay, all right. So with that, we'll do a roll call vote.
Sure, we'll start on Zoom like we normally do. Andy,
Yes.
Ron,
No.
we'll start in the room. Go around. Jane Ann,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Jenny,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
great,
Yes. So the motion carries 7-1.
correct.
Okay, all right. The other thing that we discussed on this and this subject area is on the see, that was the amendment on the perpetual maintenance agreement.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah.
That we accept the agreement for perpetual maintenance as discussed and as written.
Is there a second to that?
Sorry, do you accept or approve?
To approve,
Approved. Sorry.
you approve as written. Is there a second to that? Okay, okay, George, seconded. Okay, any discussion, further discussion?
I didn't understand what Eric asked. Can you repeat what he asked or what he stated for a motion?
Sure, Ron, Eric just motioned with a second by George to approve the Flagler County BOCC Hammock Dunes Owners Association due maintenance agreement as proposed, as presented in the package.
Okay, so now we're back to the one that I was asking the questions about. So if we're up into discussions on that, I would offer again that to make a motion that we put a statement in there that clearly articulated our exemption status and not having to pay MSBUs and MSTUs while we were concurrently being or currently making these $570,000 annual payments.
So that's your motion is,
That's my motion.
yeah,
So we have a motion on the table.
yeah,
We can't take another motion right now. The question would be whether or not Eric wanted to amend the motion.
No.
Okay. We can take your motion up later on, but we've got a motion on the table that we've got to address.
How
first.
can you take it up after you've approved it?
Well, you've got a motion on the table, so Robert's rules say you got to deal with the motion that's on the table first.
all right. So we have a motion on the table. Any further discussion?
So I couldn't make an emotion to amend that?
No.
You did, and but Eric is the one that made the motion, and he said he doesn't want to amend his motion, so.
As long as it's recorded in the meeting minutes, that's fine. I don't agree with how this is being done, but as long as it's in the meeting minutes that we sign and there's a record of it, fine.
Well, I'm not gonna get to-
I had made a motion. Eric said no. I want that in the meeting minutes.
well, the meeting minutes will reflect what we've done. Okay, that's what.
Yeah,
meeting-
well, and I made a motion to have that incorporated in there. I want that to be addressed. If you're saying it's not appropriate not to address it.
Yeah, there was addressed. It's not.
So Eric can't, so I'm making a motion to amend that. So if he makes a motion to approve right away and nobody else gets a chance to provide feedback, that's not how the rules were intended.
That's how they're written. That's how they work. Okay.
No, that's not right. That's not right. You're loosely interpreting that, Greg.
Moving on, okay. Okay, so the motion on the floor has been seconded. Any further comments? Okay, having none, okay, we'll go to the,
Barbara has her hand
Okay,
raised, so I
Barbara.
don't know.
which Barbara?
Barbara Mistars.
Okay, Barbara, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, I do believe you are wrong on Robert's Rules of Order. The only time that you can bypass a motion is to amend it ahead of time, and I think that you all need to check that out. It's very easy to get the book and read it. And I'm not saying that sarcastically, I just want the meetings to run the right way. I do commend you for trying to get this done. I do believe that we will have times when we're gonna have to pay both the MSBU, the MSTU, and this 570,000 because they don't have enough funding. There's also no best efforts clause on their part to get funding. And, you know, they don't have the cancellation doesn't say it's a stopgap. It is a perpetual one. It says they may cancel it, but we can't. I think that's a very dangerous precedent, especially one that's obligating over 1,100 people in this community without even taking this to a town meeting. And it's such a huge raise. So I understand the hurriedness. I appreciate that you guys have been working on this, but it would have been nice to have more input in the language instead of last minute. The transparency, once again, is not there. It's a huge financial issue. And I just wish that you would have handled it so that the community had a chance to look at this agreement, comment, and then you could come back for a vote. But I do commend you for trying to get this done. I'm done.
Thank you.
Okay. Who else?
I'll try Barbara again. Barbara? Do you want to speak? Barbara?
Okay.
Okay.
So she's, okay. Who else do we have that's got their hand raised?
That's it.
That's it? Okay.
Scroll over now, where that comes to the top. The hand list.
Yeah, no, yeah, it will show, but yeah, no.
All right, okay. So with that motion before it's been seconded, been discussed, this will do so call the vote. We'll do a roll call vote on the.
So, right, so we'll just do the same way, start on Zoom, Andy,
Yes.
Ron,
No,
Jane Ann,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Jenny,
Yes.
Mark. Yes. Right.
Yes. Yes. So the motion carries 7-1. Okay. All right. So we'll carry that to the BOCC meeting this afternoon. As president, will be signing the documents and things like that. Okay, good. All right. Florida County Dunes project update.
So this is for me, so just briefly, the county's making great progress. As of Monday, they were 68, as of a week ago Monday, they were 68% complete with the project. We're running about 10 to 12 to 13% each week. So that puts them, about 80-ish, 78, 80-ish% complete as of today. They are around between Cambria and LeGrand currently, and they're charging north. I've been in discussions with the county, weekly, and sometimes every other day. I did communicate with the county this morning. Everybody's watching the storm out in the Atlantic, not that it's gonna impact Florida or the East Coast necessarily, but because of the surf and the waves that are generated from it, they've indicated that on a positive, the tides should cooperate because the tides are going to be during the day, and so that they can work during the day. The high tides will be in the evening. Not quite sure what the impact will be, but everybody's kind of watching it. The one thing that they did bring to my attention approximately a week ago, was there are a few walkovers that are within their project area, the dune template, that are essentially shorter than some of the others. And they stated with their support from their engineers as well as the county's direction to their contractor that they are going to fill in those areas. And so what does that mean? That means that some of those walkovers will have their step buried or a portion of their steps buried. The dune and each dune and walkover is not necessarily the same. The dune up and down, the connection is different, but we did meet at the Comfort Station walkover, the Pelican walkover, and that will have some significant portion of their stairs buried, and what we agreed on with the county, actually the county, said that this is something that they support, is at least in the interim, adding a beach access mat that can connect from the deck or from wherever the stairs are, kind of down to the beach, so that owners can walk, nice, and there is no stairs, there's nothing that would be in their way.
Yeah, but you might want to add too, is that these mats are ADA compliant.
Right, I mean, we're still looking at the specifications, but that is one
Yeah.
promotion that they talk about.
Yeah, the specification should be ADA compliance because
We think we're gonna need 4 of them at the beach.
yeah, 3 or 4.
We're in collaboration with the condos, there might be some more that we'll need.
HOA has one.
No, but I mean, I said, Travis, as long as we're figuring out how to get the one, there's clearly 3 others that are probably gonna be buried.
Yeah.
And the
But the
contract,
condos will pay for that, not the HOA.
That's right.
they're gonna demo, they've allowed us to demo the product on that. So we're not paying for it at the moment, and we're looking to, this was gonna happen tomorrow. The county told me today they'd like to move that up to today, because of the surf, and kind of get it done. So after this meeting, I'm going to inform them, it's your show, you need to do whatever it is that you're going to do. And then we'll work with the contractor on providing the access. As there was an email, I drafted an email that was sent out on Friday, still confirming that 3 of the 4 walkovers, HDOA walkovers, are currently closed. And we will keep them closed until the county is out of the access area.
Eric,
Sorry for that.
Just very quickly, there are actually some benefits in covering up parts of the stairs. We've had that, I had that experience when I was, working with condominiums in the Hamptons. And when the stairs get covered in protection, it's featured.
That's right. Well, it does that as well. And the other thing too is if you don't cover and put down mats, and you have to reconstruct them, either close them or reconstruct them. Reconstructing is about $80,000-$90,000, I think, for each to reconstruct. And then when the tide goes down, or then after the nor'easters, and you go back and you reconstruct them again.
Right,
That's so this
that's the benefit.
okay. All right. So
At some point, we will have to look at, I mean, this is not today's meeting, but at some point we'll have to look at, the extending the walkovers,
It's really the
to
railing.
the dune profile, to a more resilient dune profile. I'm not sure if I'm using the right words, but again, that's another conversation for another day. Right now, the county's charging on, trying to get the project complete. September 10th is what they're looking at. Hopefully the surf doesn't create any issues, and they're going to do the walkovers as I indicated.
that's right. Well, and I think one thing to point out too is that I consider the storm that's sitting out there in Atlantic, even though it should have, didn't have major impact on it, is kind of an omen for this year. I mean, I think that having something this early is it can be significant. So I think that the protections that the board voted on today, that protects the community and limits our liability, if you will, deputy
Yeah, I
reconstruction.
think this was the earliest they ever had it at 5.
Yeah, it's one top 5, yeah. All right,
So
so
is there anybody for that sign up?
No one has, David Eckert.
David,
One second. All right, David.
are you on?
My visible.
Yeah,
Mike's on.
David? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Hear you now, yes, David.
Yeah, okay, the unmute button wasn't working, so I just wanted for the participants at the meeting to know that the highest waves are on Wednesday. And the tide cycle is in our favor, but the waves could be between 4 and 6 feet high. And the combined tide plus that size waves will be contacting the beach at somewhere around 11-foot elevation for about 3 hours during high tide. There'll be about 3 high tide cycles that will be experienced during the high wave conditions on Tuesday, Wednesday, and possibly on Thursday. So I think everybody should partially expect some loss of the tow that of the material that was just put in. I guess the other thing I would want to say is, for the record, we've had years of dispute as to how long the walkovers should be and how low the walkovers or high the walkovers should be. So I think you should use this as a learning experience that the dune walkover designs was to place sufficient pre-Matthew condition sand under the walkovers for a distance to the east, so that the original walkover designs after Matthew were the correct designs for a fully nourished and managed beach system. The other thing I would point out relative to the previous discussion is that if Ocean Hammock Beach Resort, Sea Colony, Mantanza Shores sign parallel agreements relative to what Hammock Dunes has done, the possibility of any double taxation for the major population in a newly created MSBU is negligible.
Okay. Okay, thank you, David. All right. Okay, so that takes care of,
Yeah, just, Barbara, did you want to make a comment? Your hand was raised.
No, I did not.
okay. All right, so with that, moving on, next thing on the agenda is the Oasis Hammock Dunes Landscape Plan, Camino Del Mar. What is that?
So I'll just take this, the design review committee reviewed the landscape plan for the Oasis development, specifically the landscaping along Camino Del Mar. Per our development agreement, our mutually agreed upon development agreement, it states that the DRC must approve the landscape plan as well as the HDOA board. The DRC did approve it at their meeting on Tuesday. So this now comes to the HDOA board for approval. Well, I think I had anything else to add.
Okay. Is there a motion for approval?
I would make a motion to approve it and recognizing it's just the landscape along the street. That needs to be decided.
Okay, so motion to approve. Is there a second to that? James, Eric seconded. Okay, discussion. George.
Well, we brought up earlier about the landscaping between the development and the sales center along this whole area. Is that still open or is that undecided?
The only thing that's been decided is the park. Down the sidewalk, down the street,
Along the road.
on the road.
So will there be?
Sorry, I'm terrible with directions.
Yeah,
So George, this is for Camino Del Mar. Bree, help me out here. I believe the DRC did approve.
They
the
approved.
common areas inside Oasis. That is, there's no board vote, HDOA vote for areas within their development, common areas, not personal homes. But this specific area is just Camino Del Mar,
right. Okay.
Over there.
Okay, so,
not behind you.
But
I'm not sure if I understood what you said, but that's.
Well, I'm trying to see if there is a requirement. And if there is a requirement, when will that proceed with the landscaping they will do on this side of the development between the property for the sales center and the property of Oasis?
I got you. So,
yeah,
Fence,
Yeah.
what fencing, what?
yeah,
where-
that's not what we're discussing today,
Yeah.
because there's still a lot of questions about what's happening inside of it.
yeah.
right, I mean, I think that.
So that hasn't been approved yet.
No.
Personal property, like landscape plans that abut the golf course or adjacent to the golf course, or that are adjacent to the sales center, the office here. have not been reviewed, Bree, help me out here, have not been reviewed, and there hasn't been anything, I think, nothing's been proposed yet.
No, it's just the common area right here, Camino del Mar.
And that's per the development agreement is what it's the only thing the board has. I'm trying to recall the development, and we have authority to approve, right?
On Camino del Mar.
On Camino del Mar.
Camino del Mar, everything else is within the
DRC.
DRC
Right.
this time.
Right.
I think there is some DRC working, you know, I'm speculating on with the club on the stuff that abuts that hole, the third hole, I think, the third hole.
Yeah, the clubhouse too.
Club,
But that's not us.
that's, yeah, let's stick to us.
Camino del Mar.
Yeah, let's stick to us.
Camino del Mar.
If someone at some point in time looks at this area along here and what's going to be done,
Yeah,
somebody's getting.
right.
Is there? Does the neighborhood have a common area tract that runs along the fence, or do all the lots butt against?
The lot.
Right.
Yeah, so if the
Lots.
lots butt against the fence, then when the DRC reviews each lot,
So it has to
it
be
would be addressed.
each lot.
That's right. And then we can make a decision on our side of the fence to address how we want to address it at our expense, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So we can do that. as
Yeah.
well. I'm kind of,
Any regulation that has to be fairly consistent along.
wish these folks that want to get
Yeah.
All right, so I want to get us back on to, so we have a motion on the floor, the second for, is there any other, I can't see
I
the.
have discussed,
Sure, okay.
and as we discussed earlier, I think it would be in our interest to stress that the planting should be fairly mature so as to avoid the need for 3 years of
You're
growing.
talking more internally though than.
And also along the road, whatever plantings are going to be there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But is it,
They could be this side, but it's this side.
is there any other discussion? I can't see, can you move so I can
Yeah.
see the, who we have here?
Nobody, let me see, anybody raise their hand.
Okay, all right.
I have Richard Hamilton.
Okay, and what about, okay, we didn't have board, 'cause we didn't, what about the other board members online before voting on this?
Is there any other discussion from any other, from Ron, Andy, or Dalton?
Nope.
Can you restate the motion, please?
Sure, the motion by Jane Ann, seconded by Eric, is to approve the landscape plan. That has been presented and that has been approved by the design review committee.
Okay.
All right, so go to member comment for the week.
Richard.
Okay, Richard Hamilton, you have.
I think we skipped some.
We have a picture of a sign and some flowers on it. What is it gonna be all along the road?
Well, if you.
You go to the landscape plan.
Landscape and,
On the picture? This.
just, and names.
They're right on.
I don't, you know. There is a Sylvester farm with flowers and, ginger. Burn, Agapanthus, Day Street, Drift Rose, I don't know what plants from.
Okay.
I mean, it's the viburnum, I mean, so it looks like a heavy hedge with the viburnum going across the front there, I mean.
Yeah, it's just gonna be cut every week. No, I'm serious, I mean, otherwise it'll look like Cassie Butt.
Well, we're not.
What? Yes, but it's nice.
What can we
It's
think?
gonna take landscaping.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
All the oaks and everything you're talking about are close to there. Except for maybe that cathedral.
Right.
But, that's the only concern.
Okay.
Our burning's a real problem, and we keep it on for months.
Yeah.
But that's their maintenance.
That is their maintenance, yes, sir, that's their maintenance, I mean, you could viburnum and ligustrum, right, the same hedge type of plant, you could sub that in. Or make a motion to sub it in. We have a motion on the table, on the floor at the moment.
Well, same thing.
It is the same, I mean, it's not the same, it's the same similar hedge type of.
It's a hedge.
Right.
Yeah, you
It's
have a,
about as much as it's similar, other than they have leaves on
Right.
But, if I burn them,
Hmm.
it's not the way it grows.
It is, it's not as fast as Ely Agnes, which
Well,
is.
it's not, it's very fair.
Yeah. Well, you have first of all, let me clarify what Travis said. You have a motion on the floor, okay? So you can't put another motion on the floor. You can ask for that motion to be amended. Pardon?
We're just having a horticulture meeting.
Yeah, well, we have 11:45 hard stop. So, okay, so, and we got 50, about 50 minutes. All right, so any other discussion? Okay, okay. Richard Hamilton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good with Travis. Travis or good?
Richard, I'm happy to speak
Travis.
with you. Just send me an email, we can certainly connect. I'm happy to meet with you.
Okay. Anything else? Rick? Okay. Okay, anybody else?
No.
So with that, then I don't think we need to do I think we can just do a voice vote on this.
I think that's fine.
Okay, so call the vote. Can I see
The screen
yeah, no, the board members, I don't see the board members.
right here. Oh,
All right, okay, so with that, call the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda is transportation policy.
Transponder policy.
Transponder policy.
Sure, so this is just an item to just take relief from the board on some specific items like transponders. Several years ago, the board approved going from 3 transponders to 4 transponders. We're seeing more and more I guess multiple drivers within a household. Children are growing up or coming back or however that's working. And so something that I brought up was instead of having to continually go back to the board for these items to put some language in that essentially is the transponders will equal the number of drivers. I think the information is self-explanatory. If there are 5 drivers, the owner can request 5 transponders. It's not per vehicle. So if someone has 10 vehicles, they can't request 10 transponders. So that the intent was just to provide some relief of having to continue to go back to the board. But if we would like to keep it at the board level, that's certainly fine with me.
And it's also just from a policy perspective, there's no change on club members who do not reside in the development, so it still remains at 2 transponders. So
This is, yes, sir. This is only for owners, Hammock Dunes owners who have multiple drivers over the allotment of 4.
Okay, all right.
But you wanna be clear that it's a licensed driver and their car, not a just transponder that can go to any.
Sure, right, yes, and they their 12-year-old son or daughter or somebody
No,
can't have a
16-year-old
transponder.
driver, a 16-year-old driver with, can't take it to their 16-year-old friends.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Car, the person, the license and the vehicle.
All the you're 100%, Jamie, I couldn't say it more,
Well,
but
I
yeah.
didn't say it very well.
Yeah, I mean, just like for an owner, they can't give it to their landscape guy or something to that effect.
The rules don't change that.
So
So
they're not supposed to. That's what we got into it. Now, at the beginning of this, the software wouldn't handle more than X number. That's not a.
Software, that is no issues now. No issues.
So we don't have that, but I mean, the transponders, those big ones you have with side by suitcases. I mean, they can be moved by anybody. You're given. You have no real control of that once you issue.
I mean,
You don't, but at least you're sure when you issue it that it's the person, the license and the car.
The transponder isn't connected to the car registration or the car driver,
It
I mean,
it's
car.
connected to the owners, it's connected to the owners, so if somebody, and it has a number on it, right, so if somebody comes through or let's just say, landscape guy comes through with a transponder's 1, 2, 3, 4, we can identify 1, 2, 3, 4 with XYZ owner, and then determine that XYZ owner provided that transponder to that landscape contractor.
Some of the transponders are permanently affixed to the windshield.
That's correct.
So those you can't really, that's right.
What is the method of the transponders now? Because it's changed over the years.
It's
Sometimes
still,
fixed,
it is,
big things.
it is still, recommended to affix the transponder to your windshield because that I mean, again, I don't know the engineering behind it, but it magnifies the signal and it provides
Right,
that.
it's still the
relief.
big boxes. It's not
Correct.
a small sticker. that
Correct,
used
but
to be
people,
all
you know,
done.
I think a lot of people hold them in their hands now.
Uh-huh.
But I think that's a personal preference.
I think especially if you're a bike rider, you know, and you want to come in the gate, you have to have that.
So.
Travis, I think some of the folks hold it with their hands. I know we do because the mercury content in windshields has changed and it affects the RFID piece and their detection. So for example, we have a transponder, the thick one, you know, the suitcase that he was referring to, and it works at every gate except the Island Estates main gate. And I have to stick it out the window and hold it there to get it. And I think it's just because the signal needs to be boosted from the transponder piece, the receiving unit there at the main gate. So I think there's some things that we can do to police that a little bit, maybe as a separate action item, but clearly the power is different at the other gates than it is at that gate.
Sure, I'm happy looking at that one with the signal.
Yeah.
You're 100% right about the newer vehicles having that higher mercury,
Right.
blockage.
Yeah.
And that's why it's got to be in that dark area around your rearview mirror that they have in there. You see that. That's the area where you're supposed to put stickers and things like that to have RFIDs in them so they can be received. If you're just putting it on your windshield and not in that dark area, chances are it's not gonna access it.
Yeah, all right. So again, we've had discussion, the motion again is, the intent is that, my personal comments on is I just don't think a board needs to be sitting down talking about whether or not somebody's gonna get, approved for a fifth transponder I just don't think we need to do that. It's purely an operational thing in my view. There's no
I agree.
policy on that. So with that, we need a motion to approve the policy. Okay. Second of George, okay. Discussion? Okay, we have audience come. One up there.
Let's see. Paula.
Okay.
Hi, Paula.
Paula, okay, got 3 minutes.
Hi, Bree. Can you hear me?
Yep.
You're fine.
Okay, one question. We have 2 cars, we have 2 transponders. If we ride bikes, my husband rides his bike and then it's hard because we have it affixed to the window, so we have to go through that and then it falls off again. Is there a way I could get a transponder to be used for that purpose? For
Sure.
bike riding and walking and whatever.
Paula, you know, in your situation, if you have 2, you are allowed to have 4. 4 is
Okay,
the number.
so in the language in this, is this a policy? Is this a new policy or a rule?
No.
It says Hammock Dunes owners are permitted to purchase up to 4 transponders per address with proof of ownership. So does that mean ownership of a car or ownership of the house?
I mean, thank you for clarifying that. The intent behind that was proof of ownership, meaning that ownership that they live in Hammock Dunes, so that when somebody comes to the office here and they say, hey, I'd like to purchase a transponder, and we're gonna say, you need to show us that you live within Hammock Dunes. You need to provide proof of ownership, that you are a Hammock Dunes owner.
Okay. I know at one time you had to bring in the car registration and prove you own the car, but so that's
We had that identified for new.
new. Okay, all right, just want to clarify. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Nope, no more hands.
So with that, call the vote. Voice vote.
Voice vote is fine.
Okay. So you want to restate the motion again?
Sure. A motion by Mark, seconded by George, is just to approve the additional language that, the transponders, there is an allotment up to 4 transponders. If there is a request for anything above 4 transponders, it must be in writing, and the request cannot exceed the number of drivers in a residence.
Okay. All right, so motion, so with that.
And this can be approved by the management team.
Yeah, that's right. It's the management team. All right, so motion made, second to call the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, motion carries. Next thing is on the agenda is Finance Committee.
Sure. So after the last meeting, the finance committee met and reviewed the June numbers. I had presented them at the board meeting since we had them, and no major changes on that. We spoke about the early planning for the 26 budget, so we've got to just put out a budget schedule to the finance committee to get together over the next month or so and get the draft of the 26 budget, and we'll go through a similar process as we have in prior years. July numbers are hot off the press. I'd say similar story as I presented the last few months. I think most of our categories are running at or under budget. The only category that's considerably over budget is legal, which we spoke about the past few meetings. And it's money that we're spending based on the number of lawsuits that we have, and so hopefully at some point that will cease. But right now, we're about $120,000 over on legal year to date, and but the rest of the other line items are making up for that. And then the neighborhoods, which we do through the Central Granada's on budget, pretty much, and the 3 neighborhoods within Ocean Estates are all pretty close to the budget, a couple dollars here and there, so all good with the 4 neighborhoods that we want.
Any questions? Full numbers.
Richard Hamilton does want to speak.
Okay.
You signed up?
Okay, Richard, you're live. That's
Well, I mean, it's a chunk of that, Richard, is expenses that we'll spend on, because outside people as we go through the houses. And right now, I'd say any amount that's above and beyond that, we have not made a decision what we would do with that. So it's similar to like the investment earnings on the reserve funds. We can either leave that in case we need it, if some big unexpected event happens, or you can allocate it to every single fund every year. So we've chosen to leave it as a reserve, a general reserve in case one of the line items we have kind of blows up.
All right. Any other comments?
Nope.
Okay. Um, that's Finance Committee. Okay. Next, we move to Island Estates access extensions. So I think Ron has provided some information. Let me just say that generally because of because of the litigation that we're in, I have, and also the fact that it's a pretty recent item. I have some concerns because we haven't had the litigations and because of the recent item that we have not had an opportunity yet to speak with our attorneys. Which I think is, should be done. Because of litigations that are going on. And essential part of that. But those are my thoughts. Before we can, as we move in, I cannot make any motions. So those are my thoughts. Eric?
I have very similar feeling to what you just said. And I really have to have time to review the situation. Even in my own mind, but more or less with the things. So I'll make a motion to table that for the next meeting.
Well, can I at least explain what we're talking about?
Hold on a second, okay, so he made a motion. So we need to clear the motion first. There's a motion that's been made. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, there's a second to that motion. Okay, Ron, discussion.
So all we're asking for here is some support in creating safety and deterrence for access to the community. And Bree, are you able to pull up the picture I provided, or a couple of them for reference so people can see what we're talking about? Just level set everybody in on this. So recently, yeah, that's a good one right there. So recently we had a breach of the community. I'm not sure if they climbed the back gate or just walked around it, which you can see here. It's easy to do. I went around and basically did it myself. So it's an easy, just jump over one ledge and on the other. That's about just under 3 feet tall, about 33 inches high, that stone, and there's no vegetation there to mitigate that. So they accessed the community, were found in a home patio by a property manager. Fauquier County Sheriff's Office was called, and they pointed out, as did our vulnerability study that was completed a couple of years ago, that it's hard for them to affect any trespassing because we don't have any trespassing signs posted. And oh, by the way, those need to be consistent. So the first ask was let's purchase some signs because they need to be consistent across the community. So whether that's Island Estates or the HDOA, it just needs to be consistent for them to affect a trespassing issue, to write a ticket and issue it that way. The signs, if you buy them from the county, are $10 each. We're asking for 10 of them. It's $100. I mean, hell, if we can't get out from under the illegal piece, I'll pay for it. But we just need to get approval to put the things in place so that if we do have a similar incident, which there's been another incident with someone accessing the community via boats and jumping off the bridges, to execute the trespassing, there has to be posted signs. So that's what we're really focused on. Number one is getting those signs so we can affect the safety of the community and the residents by having and giving Fauquier County Sheriff's Office a venue, a forum to do that legally. The second aspect of it is, how can we address this access issue more consistently? My recommendation is, and there's I think it's the last picture, brief you'd pull it up. I like the way it's done at the back gate of the Hammock Dunes. Yeah, here at the Hammock Dunes community, there's a fence that extends into that wooded area, which it does end at some point. I walked around it myself, so you can walk around it if you go far enough. But somebody has to really work hard to do that. So it's really more of a deterrent. So I'm recommending that we include some type of fence piece on either side of that for some period. Shouldn't be that expensive again to put in place. This is a safety issue and a legal issue to help to help Flagler County. I'm working stuff with back in Virginia, my home state. So to help Flagler County Sheriff's Office help address this issue for us. So that's the background, Eric, that you were looking for.
Yeah, and Ron, I appreciate what you're saying, and again, is that no one is throwing away the safety issue concerns you have. It's just a matter because of a legal thing. I think the motion on the floor is that it be tabled to our next meeting, giving us the opportunity because of lawsuit, among other things, to be able to discuss with our attorneys. So I mean, that's the motion that's on the floor, on that.
Can I request to amend the motion then to approve the placement or the purchase and placement of the signs so that we can at least get those in there, so we have other issues the Flagler County Sheriff's Office can help adjudicate that for us?
That's amended. So Eric?
Well, I appreciate Ron's offer to pay for the signs. I don't know if that in effect.
Include that in the amendment. I don't care. They're $10 each. I'll pay for them. I just want to get them up, guys. Come on, we don't have to make this hard. Let's find an easy button on something. This is a safety issue. I travel a lot. My wife's here alone. I want to get signs up. If the Flagler County Sheriff's Office says we need consistent signs, let's just put the signs up. I will give the $100 and pay for it. This is really silly to be pushing this off.
George?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, I'm not a big believer in signs. I think they don't look good, and I don't think anybody reads them. I know that these kids jumping off the bridge are gonna be reading the signs and might jump off the bridge.
Yeah, well, we're not discussing that. We're discussing, go ahead, I'm sorry, George.
But it's a signs. It's what,
Yeah.
you know, it's part of that amendment.
Yeah.
So I'm not that much in favor. The other thing is the signs can be put up on the other side of the grid. And along every property owner, you know, on the island, because that's where access is.
Personal property.
Yeah.
So I think the thing of it is we have a motion. I think that I can at least clarify one thing with regard to Florida County Sheriff's Office. And that is that Hammock Dunes entered into an agreement with the sheriff office back in, what was that, 2017, 2018?
2015.
2015.
With an MOU.
It was an MOU that allows the sheriff's department to enforce trespass within the Hammock Dunes community. So, and I think that that's something that we do on a routine basis, because we find is that it's my personal opinion, is the best enforcement is when a sheriff responds, which is fast response. You know, we have access issues with our folks' responsibility on. They respond, they issue a warning, and then if that person, individual, or whatever comes back again, they get a citation, a trip to the green room then. And we've noticed, I think, that overall that I think our stuff has been way down on that basis. So that is something that then was established with the sheriff's department going back into 2015 that still exists today. So
And so they're allowed to.
excellent, yeah.
But that's not consistent with what they shared, Greg. They told us that they can't enforce it without the signs.
Yeah, well, I can't get into the discussion on this. What I'm saying is that the sheriff's department has been enforcing it. I don't know what your discussion was with an individual police officer. What I can say is I know they enforced that last week on an incident. You know, again, it's just it may be useful to know that the fact that the policies exist, and we do have an MOU in place with the sheriff's department. Yeah.
Frankly, that's part of the reason to table it.
Absolutely.
Because so that we can explore these issues and understand what exactly.
Yeah. So we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Is there any
Yeah.
force the board, any further board discussion on this?
Yeah, I know it's stating the obvious, But the property at issue is part of the lawsuit,
Yes.
and I think that's really quite important for you.
Yeah. That's why we need to talk with our attorneys. That's the one. All right, no additional board discussion. Go to members for
Paula?
comments.
The property at issue is HDOA property. And I discussed this directly with the person who did our vulnerability study, and when I brought it up, it was the time that the person got on and went and slept at somebody's house at 2 a.m. and then claimed to be the owner of the property, which we knew he wasn't. I specifically stated, they let him go. They let him walk off the property. They didn't even escort him. And my question to Commander Lutz, who did our vulnerability study, was, how could that happen? And the answer was, you do not have any Flagler County signs on your property, no trespassing signs. And if you don't, we can't trespass them. So, and this has been going on, they crossed over HDOA property into Island Estates property, so both were infringed. If something had happened, there's a liability issue there. As far as the kids with the boats, they come up the river and they dock on either side of that bridge, and they climb up and jump off. We get the sheriff here and he tells them to go away, but he can't do anything about trespassing because there are no Flagler County official signs posted. And during our vulnerability study, they told us we had to have them. We will put them on our side. We're just asking that they be put on your side, on the Hammock Dunes side, so that all of us are absolved of any kind of liability, and we can have something done about trespassers. That's all we're asking. I don't know why that has anything to do with litigation. Thank you.
Paul. Yes.
That's David.
David Eckert.
David?
David Eckert.
Yes, Greg, if we're going to investigate these issues relative to the signage, I would request that we do it at several levels because we have two main perimeter fences, one around the main campus and one around Island Estates. But we also have the issue of the signage on the walkovers. We have the issue of what private property owners can put up relative to no trespassing. And the issue of putting up the signs in easement areas should not be associated with whose property it's on. The signs can be put in easement areas by anybody that has the authority personally, by neighborhood, by campus perimeter or Island Estates perimeter. So it seems to me that it does have legal ramifications relative to our covenants and restrictions, because signage is a big element of some of that. So if we're going to take the time to investigate this, I'd urge you to expand it to the total subject.
Thank you, David. All right, any other comments?
I'll try Barbara Brody one more time. Barbara? Barbara, would you like to speak? Okay.
All right, so with that, we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded.
Oh, there, let me just try one more time. Barbara, you're unmuted. Barbara?
So Greg, what about my motion to amend so that we can just get the 10 signs that we talked about and put those up?
Well, your motion to amend would have to be accepted by Eric, and he didn't accept it. All right, so with that, call the vote. Yeah, you can do it.
Well, yeah, this is a table, so I think a voice vote.
Voice votes to table it, to our, next
Eric's motion was the next board meeting,
board meeting. All right.
so whenever that would be.
All right, okay, so motion second, call to vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstain.
I abstain.
Okay. All right.
Just
So-
ridiculous.
Right. All right, so. Next on the agenda is approval of the July 21st minutes. Okay, a motion to accept. Yeah, or to approve, excuse me, to approve. Okay, then my
I
mind,
knew what you were supposed to say.
I didn't know I was supposed to. Mark. Is there a second to that? Okay, Jane Ann seconded. Okay, any discussion? Okay. All right. Having none, there's no comments, discussion from our members.
Nope.
None. Call the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Now on our agenda, moving down the agenda, any other additional audience comments?
All right, let's see if anyone's hands raised. Yeah,
None? Okay, so there's no.
I'll try Barbara one more time. Just Barbara? You available? Oh,
Okay. So
Okay.
with that, okay, so get a motion to adjourn. Mark moved to adjourn. Is there a second on that? Okay. George seconded it. Okay, any discussion on motion to adjourn? Okay, we're always commenting. So with that, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Motion carried. Meeting's adjourned.
Well done.
Thanks, everyone.